I certainly think 9 and 10 are some of my favorite episodes because they're so spare and brutal and raw. And they remind me of The Road by Cormac McCarthy. It's the closest, I think, that we've come to that kind of broken poetry of that book. And I think then what happens is something unbelievable. And it's like a reset. And I'm not going to say any more.
Yeah, I was wondering when I was going to cut you off.
Yeah, that's right. Really bad idea. Really bad.
We might have to show a clip of you again. Just
Play the clip. Play the clip.
Thanks very much for your
Thank you.
question. Thank you.
Hi. Some of my most favorite moments on the show are, I think, the quieter moments. The scenes that come to mind are season 4, episode 1, and I can't believe I even know that, when Rick and Carl are spending a lot of time together. And also the scene after the famous biting scene where Rick and Daryl are just sort of sitting against a car and just talking about brotherhood. And I was wondering, would you say those kinds of scenes are more difficult or easier to play compared to the more zombie and action sequences?
It's all great. I love this. The whole thing is great, and they all have their own subtleties and nuance. And the scene with Norman was effortless. It was just they set up the cameras, they covered me in blood, and then they just rolled the cameras, and we didn't even rehearse. It just kind of made sense. It just landed. Sometimes that happens a lot. We get lucky. We did a scene in the returning episode that we had no time, but we just did it. And it was beautiful. It was just so simple, just people talking. Those are the bits that I love. That's the bit that turns me on about this show, are the bits you work hard for, those moments of silence and beauty and simplicity and friendship, when someone just pulls you along, in your life. You just go, someone says something and they don't even know they're saying it, but it gets you through the day. That's what I love and think is most elegant about the show, is the fact that we do all the cool shit and then we do that. It's kind of the payoff. Am I allowed to swear?
Oh, it's too late now. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Charlie Collier, I apologize. You asked me not to keep it clean.
Question is for both actors. I wanted to know for each individual character, what would you like your story to be as the season progresses or the seasons progress?
I don't know if I have like a distinct story in mind of where I want him to go, but I think I will say I like the direction it's going now, which is we haven't aired it yet, and I wish you asked this question in like a couple more weeks, but we're really getting to know these people now. We're really getting to know what they're made of, and we're really getting to test them and see what they're capable of and what they're not capable of, or what they choose not to be. And I think it's so hard to answer this question because
Careful.
Okay.
I was trying to trick you.
But just please watch. I think you'll like it.
Andrew, would you like
Yeah, I think what I would wish is and we are heading into this really interesting territory, is psychological damage of being out there for 2 years, and whether or not how that plays out. Can the man monster, this leader that is Rick, would he be able to ever assimilate into some form of society? And what kind of leader would that make him? You know what I mean? I think these are really interesting areas. I've always been fascinated about that. When you pull everything away, technology away from everybody, how do we start again? That has always been fascinating for me, and I think it's a place that certainly the comic book moves into, and it feels like we could be entering into that area soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Hello. I first have to say that my mom sends her love to Norman. She would kill me if I didn't say that. My question is, this goes to a 3, which is your favorite scene?
Scene.
I mean, I have to. I'm just the one that just pinged into my head was riding a horse into Atlanta. I mean, it was something when I trained at RADA in my classical theater training. Someone has said in 20 years' time, you're going to ride with a cowboy hat and a bag of guns on a horse into Atlanta, Georgia, with 400 zombies chasing you. I would have laughed squarely in their face. And here I am today. Yeah.
I think my favorite scene is one of my favorite scenes is definitely coming up.
Oh, that's the part.
Answer every question.
Yeah. But I really, a great turning point for Glenn was the chair scene for him, and it was in my opinion very iconic for that character to have that moment. And what was really great was Dan Sackheim, our director, he just let me free roam, and Glenn Brown, our camera operator, just followed me as we went. And the scream at the end was not scripted. It just came out. And I felt like, and we kept it. And that was, to me, like an awesome moment because it was very indicative of where Glenn was going and like how much he had been pushed in that moment. And so, yeah, that was one of my favorites for sure.
Oh, Lord. Man, I could not even. I think one of the most important for me was, this is when I wasn't running the show, but, and it seemed like it was sort of in a transitional part of when we were doing the show was the season finale to season 2, mid-season finale, when Sophia came out of the barn. And there was so much, I mean, that was, I was just so deeply, deeply, deeply into that script and everything just leading up to that moment, everything from that half of the season leading up to that moment. And there was a lot of responsibility to it. Michelle McLaren directed that one, and all the actors just crushed it. Just everything about it just came together. And that was the end of the first episode I was on set for. And it was just very, very heavy. And I still have the bullet casing from the first shot of Andy shooting a little zombie girl. But I still have that casing, and it means a lot to me.
Thank you.
Thank
We,
you.
we have less than a minute left, so I'm sorry this will have to be the last question. I apologize.
Sorry. Putting me in a bad spot here. Anyway, I have to say my wife is freaking out that you're clean shaven, Andrew. She's reading into that, but that's not going to be my question. My question is the cast seems to be so focused, the characters seem to be so focused on survival. I'm wondering if the group has bigger picture plans in terms of repopulating the world, and based on what we heard tonight, I think I know where Steven's going to go with this.
Census 2000.
Man, now we're, these characters are dealing with the world in a very direct way right now, a very like facing what's in front of them and dealing with that. And, eventually that might have to change, but I wouldn't want to say too much about it because that's part of the journey.
Do you want to answer the shave question?
What's that?
How about the shaving question?
I will say the beard just quit the show. I mean, the talk with the beard in the office was the hardest thing. Yeah. And Andy was like, with the show, he didn't want to watch it, so he was wearing earplugs.
He was demanding an Airstream. He wanted like craft.
It's a difficult beard.
Well, I want to thank all of you for sharing your ideologies with us tonight, and thank you for influencing the zeitgeist in the world.
Yes, he did it. He did it.
A round of applause for Scott Gimple, Andrew Lincoln, and Stephen Yun. Thank you so much, all of you.